Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Damend Gounder, as I have been introduced. It's very difficult to give an address after four brilliant addresses in the afternoon that preceded my address. But just to let you know, and Dr. Zen, I don't know, I didn't know that he was such an emotional man. I have a brilliant speech from him. But just to let him know, I give thanks to my wife every night when she cooks dinner for me. All right, just to make sure that I get the next one next evening. All right? But she's a brilliant cook. One of the reasons I accepted to come in here this afternoon was basically I like the name Genda, and it's like marigold, and I like this beautiful touch. And the other thing was for this young Les. And I think it's very hard to find people like her, so young, who does things like this for no return, for her own personally. A wonderful person, and that's one of the reasons I came. Sharon, congratulations. Thank you very much. The topic that I chose this afternoon was ethical business. Mind if I sit down a bit? Now, ethical business, difficulty of being good. One of the reasons, or there are a couple of reasons as to why I chose this topic. One of the reasons is I continue to be inspired by people around me who continuously, on a daily basis, make choices, make decisions, and hard decisions they make, based on good ethics and good morality. However, I'm also concerned with a larger amount and number of people who know that what they're doing is wrong, but they continue to move in that direction for short-term gains. Another inspiration for me to take this topic up is inspired by a book that I've read a couple of times now. The book is written by an Indian author, Guru Charan Das, and it's titled The Difficulty of Being Good. In this book, the author makes a brilliant attempt to illustrate to us by using characters from the great Indian epic of Mahabharata as to how we can use this to illuminate the modern day dilemmas we have. And that's moral dilemmas we have. And one of the other reasons is I believe that the leaders of the future will be the ones who will create cultures or value systems centered upon the ethical principles. And I believe that some of them are here this afternoon. My business, ladies and gentlemen, is the tourism business. I am in the people's business. My company, Tour Managers, has Paradise Brides, a wedding company. We also operate the Yatule Resort and Spa. In this business, basically, we meet a lot of people. In my position as the managing director of the company, I meet resort owners, executives of airlines, owners of travel agencies and wholesalers in overseas. I take them out for dinners. I do a lot of entertaining. Nowadays, from about 3 years ago, I have basically been looking after the upper hierarchy of the various travel agencies and the tour business people. My new generation staff, young people who are around me, they are doing all the other stuff. of meeting people, etc. But basically, this is the people's business. And I've operated my business based on ethics and principles. I draw my strength in ethics from my religious faith. I believe that the commitment of principles that I have is something that I learned from the religion that I follow, from the family values that I have, from the education that I have received, and most importantly, the friends that I have. Every religion is values-based, and no one religion preaches the practice of immorality or unethical behavior. The ability to draw strength from cultural and religious continuity can help when faced with unpredicted trials in life. And I will show you later in the address an example of that I personally have experienced. Ethics is moral principles. It defines the right and wrong and provides a guiding light for decisions we make. There are two aspects to this. One involves the ability to distinguish between right and wrong. Number two is the commitment to do what is right and wrong, or right or wrong. It is the walk the talk concept. Ethics come into play on a daily basis, and every time we make decisions. I believe that a strong sense of ethics has assisted me in making sound decisions. And as someone had said, compromising your ethic once, just compromising your ethic once, may take you down the slippery slope. I am currently, as part of my public life, faced with a very big issue. And I am taking a very strong stand because I have taken a principle and ethics stand. The impact of good ethical behavior of companies cannot be underestimated. It is of no surprise that companies that consistently demonstrate ethic adherence and social responsibilities generate better results. An ethical company not only abides by the law, but operates honestly, competes fairly, and looks after the interests of its staff. Now, my experience with regards to, ethics, principles, and on 4th November 2004, and 2004 seems to be a common year. On 4th November 2004, I received one of the biggest shocks of my life, and also was and still is the lowest point of my life. After working and working hard and working honestly, being away from home for the late hours of the evening, I received a letter saying that I had to be out of the company that I helped to grow. I was a 39% shareholder of that company. I started off by giving the name of that company. I started off by planting grass on the lawn of the restaurant that we built. And then I was told that I had to leave. There was no reasons given to me. There were a lot of excuses. But somewhere in my heart I knew what it was. Anyway, I was unemployed after 15 years. It's great to be unemployed. And then things start coming back to you. With minimal or no chance of getting a fair share of my contribution. And all this because I said no to an issue which I thought wasn't ethically right. And this big no meant out of the company, loss of status, and a couple of $100,000 that I thought would have been a compensation to us. However, I got messages from many friends and all people to do a settlement out of court. I opted to say no because I had to clear my name. It was my status, it's my identity. I worked for it. And somebody had told me, if you go to court, it's like a street fight. If you don't start punching, you get punched. So small men like me started punching. And at a court conference, it was settled. And obviously, came out, name was cleared. I still had to do something because I was not part of this big company that I was. Now I was at the bottom of the ladder. And the first thing, like I said, was to protect my name, which I managed to do. But then I was pleasantly surprised and very thankful and appreciative to many of my industry friends, who actually supported me. And that was basically, and from what people had told me later, was due to the ethical and the principled approach I had maintained as a board director of Fiji Airways, as a board director of Tourism Fiji, as the chairman of the Tourism Action Group, which is charged with the recovery of tourism. I did that in 2000 to get tourism back into Fiji, 2006. And again, I'm chaired and still am the chair for the Tourism Action Group 2006 after the events of 2016. In February 2005, I started Tour Managers Limited. And the first thing I did was to determine the value statement of the company. I looked at it and I sat around and I came up with a simple line, and it still reads, and it hasn't been changed: be a company of credibility and trust. With this core company value and a principle stand for good ethics and morality, and my religious faith, I embarked on a journey to do business. Many had predicted gloom and doom, but I moved with the help of my family, my wife, and my daughter who's here. Unfortunately, Saroj is not well. And my mom was in Melbourne. She's 82 years old, 84 years old now this year. Friends and a staff team of 2+1. The reason I say 2+1, 2 paid employees and 1 unpaid, my daughter. So we started the company. Now after 11 years, the company Tour Managers employs over 100 staff, with staff based in Guangzhou and Bombay. And we contribute some 60,000 tourists to the tourism economy of Fiji. Our wedding company does about 120 to 150 weddings a year. And we look after and welcome tourists to our newly acquired Yatule Beach Resort and Spa at Natandola Beach. This all came around basically because of the principal stand I have taken, that the culture of ethics, good ethics, has been driven into the company. People have, and employees and staff have embraced that. And I give you another example of, tragedy, and when the people are at the bottom of the ladder, is, in 1971, in January, I think, Idi Amin did a coup in Uganda. And 80,000 Asians, and in entirety they were Indians, were exiled from Uganda. All their wealth and land and property, etc., were proportionated and distributed to the friends and families of Idi Amin. Some 30,000 of these refugees or exiled Ugandans arrived into Great Britain. And I quote to you what Sir Charles Cunningham, who was the chairman of the Uganda Resettlement Board appointed by the British government, had said, and quote, "When nearly 30,000 people were expelled from Uganda and had to come to England penniless to start a new life, their calmness and dignity, their readiness to accept hardship, the uncomplaining way in which many of them who had known success, wealth, and prosperity began again at the bottom of the ladder impressed us most. They were men and women with faith and ethics." What is so inspiring is that these 30,000 are now very successful people in Great Britain, and a lot of them are on the list of the rich and famous. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great story of how faith works hand in hand with ethics, morality, dignity, and determination. My firmness on the first value statement for tour managers has had a positive impact on all my staff, and we worked hard to get this culture accepted. I, as the managing director of the company, I had to demonstrate, and I still do that I have a passion of good ethics and a principled stand and principled behavior. That's how I can make the company work. To motivate my people, I talk to them, and I actually do managing director's breakfast annually. I cook for my staff, breakfast on a Sunday morning. In fact, I'm very good at omelets. All right. And one of the things I also have done is basically, this is another, just to go side, that when we first started the resort, and when the resort consultant, Robin Mabisaroko, came to me and said, "We've got to hire some chefs." And said, "What type of qualifications we need?" First, I'm not a hotelier, but I said, should be able to cook. He said, "All right." He said, "I've got a whole list of people." I said, No, you must take them through the omelette test. They should be able to make the best omelette. Because I tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, in Fiji, all the hotels make the worst omelettes in the world. Right? They make egg pizzas. They don't make omelettes. I've traveled, I've studied in Japan, I've traveled over Asia. Fiji omelettes are not the best. But at Yatule, it's the best. Okay. Anyway, right, there are people who will not want to buy in the culture of ethics. How many times have you seen employees, getting involved with suppliers, trying to get a cut? All these unethical practices. And the idea is we say goodbye to them on a legal way. And because this culture has to get in and be into the staff, so that the managing director, my business development manager, my children who's in the company, they all work with the same principle. One of my biggest markets is out of Asia, China, Taiwan, and India. And with all business transactions or interactions in the world, relationship is important. In Asia, human relationship is based on trust, plays an even more prominent role. A lot of business is and can be won on how good you know a person and use this initial interaction to create a genuine and mutually beneficial business relationship. It is how much trust you can develop between two individuals or companies in Asia. That trust forms a very important component of the business. And the way you win this trust is through friendship. It is going out for dinners, dining, foot massages, the whole works. Right? In the Western society, trust is based on social and legal system, whereas in China, trust is built on personal relationship. People doing business with each other rely on their personal faith in those whom they are working with We as a company understand this connection. And based on our business relationship in China, and that is also based around trust, we make sure that we operate very ethically. And one of the examples I give you is that we ensure that whenever we take or invite a business partner to dinner or a function in China, we invite more than one member from the company so that we have a couple of them present. There is transparency in the discussion, and this has spread within the company hierarchy, and we have won a lot of trust and a lot of business. And we found respect from our suppliers as well on this. We entered the China market in the year 2009. I was not the first entrant to the China market. And I made sure that what we were doing was to create our own niche and was to work from there. There were few pointers that I had put in place for my team to follow. One of them was that I will not be dealing with anything less than 4-star. All packages had to be above 4-star. And we continue to hold on to that principle currently. That stops all these willing and dealing things, price cutting, etc. We entered the southern China market first. The other larger operator was based in Beijing, so I didn't want to go out there. So for us to start unnecessary competition and then that takes you to unprincipled ways to compete. And the other one, the last one, was that the business has to be based on our core value, and there were no kickbacks. Right? The Asian market is a kickback market. After 6 or 7 years, we are now one of the largest inbound tour operators for the China market. I employ approximately 15 Chinese nationals in Fiji to handle all our Chinese and Taiwanese arrivals. With other markets, we continue to win business based on our reputation of credibility and trust. And I give you one example, ladies and gentlemen. I have a contract from the western side of the world, the Western world, which has got no due date. It's an open-ended contract, but it has got one clause, that the day I'm out of the company, they will come and review the contract. That's how solid the trust has been built with this group of people over so many years. Some weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen, I read with great interest what our Attorney General, Honorable Ayaz Sayed Qayyum, had said. And I quote, that Fiji needs to develop a culture of honesty. I fully agree and endorse this. We who are in business, we know the level of dishonesty around. At all levels you find it, and it is alarming. And I think it needs to be embraced and promoted by all businesses and business leaders. By setting the standards, we can create the flow-on effect with all our team members. And to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, here's something that I wrote, and I hope you like it. When a leader shows and practices consistent behavior to build trust, shows a passion for values, and demonstrate ethics, there is harmony in the team. When there is harmony in the team, there is order in business. When there is order in business, there is happiness for all. When I opened my statement, ladies and gentlemen, I said and repeat that faith is essential for anyone to succeed in ethical and moral obligations. We can do all ethical business based on our values, and if we have faith, it is not difficult to be good. Thank you.